What's up, guys? Kyle here again, and guess what? Today, I don't know where to look. What is up, guys? Kyle here again, and today, guess what? It's FAQ'n Friday. That's right. I'm here to answer every last one of your burning gear questions that you just have to have answered because there's no other information out there on the internet. And yeah, okay. So anyways, before we get this one started, I want you guys to do me a favor. My other guitarist, Derrick Voricci in Bushido Code, just started up his YouTube channel. He's the good guitarist in Bushido Code. He's the one who does all the solos and the wild stuff. Dude just absolutely shreds circles around me, and he always dials in awesome gear tones. So anyways, he's going to be doing a whole bunch of demos and stuff like that over on his channel on a lot of the amps and effects that he owns. He's really good with effects. Really into that stuff, has a massive pedal board, so he'll be reviewing a bunch of cool pedals and everything. So I would really appreciate it if you go to the link down in the comments and subscribe to his channel, because he's going to be coming out with some cool stuff. We're going to do some rig rundowns for Bushido Code. We're going to do some playthroughs for Bushido Code that we're going to put on both of our YouTube channels. And, you know, his channel will probably continue to grow alongside mine doing different stuff. So I know he's going to put a lot of quality gear out there. Anyways, yeah, please go and subscribe to his stuff. You will not regret it. Also, my band's link, Bushido Code and Subdue, the band that I play drums for, both of those Spotify links are in every single video that I post. So please, if you guys don't mind, go down and check those out. Anyways, you're here for questions. I'm here to stumble through giving you answers. So let's start with the first question. First question from the other John Brown. Thank you, my good man. Favorite cabin speaker? That one is tough for me because I like so many different things, but I'm just going to start off with the one that I've been using for forever. Marshall Mode 4 cabinet with the K100 speakers in them. Those cabs are oversized, kind of built to compete with the Mesa oversized cabs in the early 2000s. The Mode 4 heads were crap, but the Mode 4 cabs are awesome. They are all birch, including the back, which most Marshalls are MDF back, and they've got K100 speakers in them. There's an MF280 that has vintage 30 speakers in them. I also have that one. These cabs for a while have been really cheap on the used market, so I grab them up whenever I find them at a decent price, and they do not disappoint. They sound awesome. The K100 is probably my favorite speaker too, but I would say it's tied with the good old classic vintage 30. My favorite cab that has vintage 30s in it right now is my Friedman BE 412, which actually has V30s on the bottom, greenbacks on the top. Absolutely killer combination. I use that on our record. V30 records super well. K100 does great with Marshall style amps for kind of taming that mid spike. The V30 doesn't always sit well with splawns or like JCM 800 type stuff like that. So yeah, it would be a tie between the K100 and the V30. My favorite cabs are the MF400, Marshall MF400, and the Friedman BE 412. So thanks for that question. Next question. Love all amps and cabinets you have, but do you have a guitar addiction as well? What are some of your favorite guitars that you own? I don't know. Guitars for me are just kind of whatever. Definitely more of an amp and cabinet guy. I don't really own that many guitars. Yeah, I'm lying. I definitely have just as much of a guitar addiction as I do an amp addiction. I would say I probably more focus on amps over the last couple of years, but guitars definitely always have my eye. I've got about 30 right now, and I'm always constantly checking out new stuff. I'm mainly a Gibson guy, but over the past year or so, I've kind of been gravitating back towards like import guitars, just because, like you guys know, I like really good value stuff. But my favorite guitars, I would say number one, my 2015 Gibson Les Paul Silverburst Custom. I got that one last year, got a good deal on it. It plays beautifully, it sounds amazing. Right now it's got a bare knuckle Holy Diver in the bridge, but I'm going to change that out for a Duncan full shred because I've really been digging the full shreds. But yeah, it's just an amazing guitar. It's perfect weight, perfectly balanced. The strings are like on the fretboard, but it doesn't, sound thin. It doesn't feel buzzy. And that's been my dream guitar for a long time, long before the recent Adam Jones craze. I've been wanting a Silverburst. I've had other Silverbursts, like Agile Silverbursts and Epiphones, and it was cool, but it's not the same. So I got the real deal. Super lucky, super happy to have that. My number 2 guitar is a 2002 Gibson R8, which is a 1958 custom shop reissue in Bourbon Burst. I really love Burst Les Pauls, even though I've kind of moved away from them a little bit. I've got a few of them, but that one's just the one for me, man. I bought that guitar, I got a killer deal on it. Paid $2,800 shipped for it, which is pretty crazy. It had the perfect top. I had to get the one with the perfect top. This top is ridiculous. It's just like the Silverburst, man. The strings sit right on the fretboard, but there's no buzz. The guitar sounds so good. I'm too used to talking about amps. Jesus. The guitar sounds amazing. It's got one of the most beautiful bursts I've ever seen. Again, super well balanced, stays in tune, which even my Silverburst doesn't stay in tune all that great. Depends on the day, it can get temperamental. But yeah, I bought that guitar when I first really started putting money in the bank, and it was the most expensive guitar I had bought. It still is, actually. That's the most expensive guitar I own, but it was worth every penny. I don't regret it for a second. On the cheaper end of stuff, my ESP LTD BK600, which is the Bill Kelleher SIG, I absolutely love that guitar. I love the lace dissonant aggressor pickups in it. I love the lace dissonant aggressor. Oh my god, I should just restart this whole thing. I love the lace dissonant aggressor pickups that are in those. I've actually stuck those in a couple other guitars since getting that guitar because I like the way that they sound so much. The fact that it's kind of got the Silverburst teardrop going on, but with the kind of olive army green. Oh man, and the satin finish, it's just a beautiful guitar. That one plays awesome. Ebony fretboard's great. I took that guitar to Europe with me last year and really just loved playing it the whole time, man. I still love that guitar. It still gets a lot of playtime. Honorable mention for me, Schecter SLS Elite C1 that I just got a few months ago. I'm not an active pickup guy, but this one came with Fishman Moderns in them. Fishman Fluence Moderns, and man, those pickups sound really good. I really like them. The action on the guitar is ridiculous. The neck feels great. The build quality on this thing is just on another level for an import guitar, in my opinion. I bought it used, and there's still not a flaw on it. So really enjoying playing that guitar lately, and the hip shot bridges were tough for me to get used to, but I bought a few guitars with them, and I'm finally kind of getting around to them because I'm so used to playing a tune-o-matic. But yeah, the hip shot, I definitely really dig it now. So yeah, those are my 4 favorites out of the 30 that I have, but that's kind of like an ever-changing lineup. The top 2 kind of stay there, but you know, I gravitate towards different guitars. Like right now, I'm really loving, after I gave it a good setup, my Schecter KM6 Standard Mark III. Shaved the nut down like I said in my previous video. This thing plays awesome. It sounds way better now that the strings are closer to the fretboard. That's just how I like it. It's very snappy, very punchy. So anyways, yeah, it's always changing. And next year I assume I'm gonna have a lot more guitars because the Solar stuff that's coming out, or Solar, that, you know, Ola England's doing, I love a lot of his designs. I'm gonna pick one up eventually here shortly. And then LTD's got a lot of cool guitars for 2021 coming out, including a black metal Arrow with a tune-o-matic bridge, single pickup, reverse headstock. I mean, it doesn't get any more metal than that, man. That thing is awesome. So I'll probably pick up one of those too. All right, moving on because I'm running out of time. Favorite recorded metal rhythm tones. If you don't know the band Harlot, from, I believe they're from Australia or New Zealand? Australia. Anyways, Harlot, Harlott. I'll put a Spotify link for them down in the comments too. Killer tone on all their albums, but I'll feature the one that I like the best. But man, they use Ubershalls and they use 5153s, and it just sounds like what I would want my tone to sound like. And actually, it's kind of the tone that I strive for on our new record on my side, and I think I got close. But theirs is just really well produced. It sounds awesome, super tight, a little bit of crunchy. I'm not even a huge Bogner Uberschall fan, but man, the way that they have that recorded just sounds absolutely killer. So yeah, that would be my favorite metal rhythm. I want to go on the hardcore side of things, since I'm mainly a hardcore dude. Buried Alive, Death of Your Perfect World. Even though I'm not a rectifier guy, the tones on that record are just so good. I've always loved them. I've always tried to get that out of my 2-channel rectifiers, never quite could. So obviously it's in something that they're doing, but yeah, I love the tones on Buried Alive, Death of Your Perfect World. Those are some awesome heavy guitar tones that are clear and punchy and just gnarly. KKK. Great Q&A, man. Shred Shed Studios. You guys have been following me for a little bit. I really appreciate it. If you had to pick one, HM2 or Metalzone? Neither. Not really a fan of either of those pedals. The HM2 craze just never caught on with me. There are a couple bands who use it, and they use it in conjunction with like a wet dry type rig, like Harm's Way. Harm's Way uses an HM2 on their records, kind of combined with other amps, and I think that sounds really cool. My buddy's in Eternal Sleep. I know that Travis uses an HM2. The way that he does it sounds great. Sounds heavy, but not over the top. So probably an HM2 over a Metalzone. I don't think the Metalzone is terrible as a boost. I actually used it in front of a dual rectifier when trying to get some crowbar tones not that long ago, and it sounded really similar to crowbar once you use the HM2 just as a straight boost and not as an actual distortion or preamp pedal. So probably HM2, Metalzone. They both have their uses, you know what I mean? So either or. My buddy Steve Alt, miss you, man. He used to be in a couple of my bands with me and moved out to California like an asshole. Haven't seen him in like 5-6 years, something like that. But anyways, he says, years ago, Adam Salaga turned me onto heavy gauge strings for E standard setup to get more beefy and more full sound. Do you have any experience or advice with non-conventional pairings of gear you've come to love? As far as strings, I would say I like more tension, normal, but not by much, just because I like to get the I really like to get the punch out of the strings, and the heavier you go on the strings, the more tension, the less the strings move when you palm mute them, so they're not as punchy. But otherwise, yeah, they do fill out nicely on chords and stuff like that. Non-conventional gear pairings, not really, man. You know me, I'm a pretty simple dude. An amp, a cab, a boost, and a noise suppressor, and a Gibson guitar for the longest time. LTD, Schecter, whatever. Pretty standard as far as that, so sorry I can't really offer anything fun there. As a hardcore, David Ross, what's up, David? David bought a VHT Pitbull 100 off me, which was the early Ultra Lead models last year. We chat about gear every now and then. As a hardcore player with a heavy aggressive right hand, what strings, gauge, and brand do you prefer for regular-ish tuning? E standard, drop D, or D standard, drop C. Kind of going in line with the last question. For standard, I use 11 to 49 on the Gibson scale, and I usually use the same on a 25.5 inch scale guitar. I think it's close enough that it doesn't make a huge difference to me. Depending on the Gibson, some of them I'll use 11 to 52 just because they're set up that way and they feel great that way. So E standard 11 to 52, drop D would be 11 to 52, 25.5 inch would be 11 to 49. I play D'Addario or D'Addario, however you want to say it, strings on everything. I always play the nickel wound steels or whatever their regular strings are. I can't remember off the top of my head. For drop C, again, depends on the scale. If it's an 11 to 54 or if it's a 25.5 inch guitar, I will play 11 to 54. If it's a Gibson scale, 24 3/4, I'll play 11 to 56. Tips for getting the right hand up to speed from T. Thanks, T. Play any song off of Metallica's Master of Puppets repeatedly, literally. I still can't play or even come close to playing Master of Puppets for more than 2 or 3 minutes straight. It's torture on your right arm. So learn any song off that album and it'll definitely help you. Battery will help you for the triplet type picking. Downstrokes, definitely Master of Puppets. Mr. Distort 6, another question. Thanks, man. Have you ever tried a VHT or Fryette Sig X? No. It's one I've definitely always wanted to get my hands on, but have never come across at the right time. So yeah, that's definitely one on my list. I still have my CL50 and my Deliverance 60, and they're two amazing amps that I still love playing all the time. The Sig X is definitely on the list. I've had a couple older Ultra Leads, but yeah, I'd love to try everything that VHT and Fryette does because they're great amps. All right, last question. This is the last one I have time for. Michael Whitaker says, what's up, dude? I got one question. Hypothetically, you keep all your PV amps but have to sell off all your other amps or vice versa. Thanks. If it was just PV or just, I don't know, man. If I had to go down to one single amp, it would be a 5153. Triple X would be a close second. You guys know my Splon Quick Rod is kind of like my favorite amp, but like I don't love it for drop tuning stuff, so I would have to say a 5153 or a PV Triple X to cover all ground. That's it. The Splon in standard still is the best amp for me, for my taste. So anyways, yeah, that's what I would do. But it's tough with PV stuff because it's so cheap that, I mean, you know, one amp for 350 bucks. I paid 300 for my Triple X and that covers everything. Can't argue with that, man. Swap a couple tubes out to get a little lower gain or, you know, get a little bit more EL34 crunch. You got so many options with that thing. It's such a good amp. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got time for today, guys. Please drop more questions down below in the comments. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing these and answering your guys' questions. I'm trying to step my video quality up. I'm trying to step my video content up. So I hope you guys stick around. I bought some new lighting. I'm trying to get a new like backdrop type thing set up in my basement. So yeah, I've got a Mesa Badlander 50 shipping to me. It's supposed to ship today from Sweetwater. I'm hoping to have it tomorrow. So if I do get that, I'm gonna just shit post like crazy with that amp, a whole bunch of videos, since there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of really good ones out there yet. But anyways, yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm gonna try to pump out a video a day, you know, for as long as I can, and you guys let me know what you want to see. But anyways, I'm out. Thanks, guys. See ya.